Hey guys, Kent Anderson here again with Aero Traditions, coming back out with you with another product in a sense, but also something that is very crucial and something at the end of the day, if you're in an emergency, could potentially save your life or somebody else's life that's with you, happens to be in camp or hunting, whatever the case may be. And that is what traditionally is called an IFAK, or an individual first aid kit. Mine is, I would say, substantially big. You can definitely downsize, but every piece in here that I have has a purpose and will help in the case of an emergency. So I had talked about a previous video, 6 a.m. Outdoors. It's VIAM They've got their glacier gear grabs, and this is the G3 orange bags. This is the only orange bag that I have for anything in my pack, and it has to do with first aid. The reason that I have done that, I had a buddy, Aaron, that actually works with 6 a.m. He kind of pointed that out. In the time of an emergency and you need it quickly, all you got to tell is anybody that's with you, hey, grab the orange bag, that's my first aid kit, and they know exactly what they're grabbing. So I use just one orange bag from 6 a.m. in their G3s specifically for my first aid kit. So I'll kind of tear into this, talk about what I like to have in a first aid kit and the reasons for it. So just lots of gauze, lots of bandage. This one is just going to be an emergency bandage, 6 inches wide, and that's going to be for either packing wounds or just going over and keeping pressure on. You really cannot have enough of that. That gives me a pretty good amount. If I need to cut it down, use it for other stuff, I have the ability to do that. But just an emergency bandage. A lot of this you can get a lot of different places. A couple of things I will touch on is like the tourniquets that I use. Be careful when you're buying those. If you go on Amazon, they're about 30-35 bucks, but you have to be careful in what you're buying, because some of those, you know, your windlass are made out of plastic, may not be as good. We'll get into that as well. But chest seals, this one is from Sam Medical, and you're talking gunshot wounds, penetrating wounds, where you have to close up your pneumothorax and make sure that you can still breathe. So a chest seal in a pinch can definitely save your life. It helps with breathing, helps kind of seal that. What the purpose is a chest seal. You always want to have more than one. These typically come very sticky. You're going to put it on one side. If you have an exit wound, you're going to want to put it on the other side, so one in the front, one in the back. But chest seals are huge. Quick clot. There's a hemostatic agent in here that will basically clot blood, and you just pack that into a wound, and it should help control some of that bleeding. Does not have to be quick clot. There's lots of hemostatic agents out on the market. Just plain gauze. If you're packing a wound with just plain gauze, that works too. Just something to get that blood to stop. Major hemorrhaging, major bleeding is one of the biggest things that's going to kill. And so the more you can get on that rapidly and fast, the better. Hydrocortisone, a couple of salves in there, sunscreen, just some extra stuff there. Keep going here. A microband cut kit. Again, a lot of this on some of the packaging I will already have taken off so that it's easier to get to. This one's not as big of a deal, but these little microband kits, I bought a whole kit from My Medical, I believe is what it was. They have kits you can get for a couple $100, and it's literally going to have all this stuff in a small kit. Works really well, but this is kind of just going to help sew you up in a pinch. It definitely is not something that's going to last, but if you have a nasty cut, something deep, it'll at least get you to where you can get that sewn up. It's not a full thread needle set. They're kind of a mending patch almost. You can get some where you can put it across like a bad cut, and they have zip ties essentially, which will zip that wound shut. This is very similar to that. Not exactly the same thing, but good stuff. Nasopharyngeal airway. This is going to go in your nose. Gives you a little packet of lubrication. Very uncomfortable, but one thing that can kill you too is if your airway is not working. Sometimes going straight through the nose, if you have to use it, it's going to be uncomfortable, but it may get that to where you get your airway back and help you before you get to the hospital. So just in one nostril, it's going to go far back in there, but works well. So secure strips, these are nice for, again, kind of closing up wounds and doing that to where it'll at least get you to the hospital where then they can put stitches in. Can be a key piece. Sanitizer, sting relief. Again, these are just small things that I might throw in that I might need, and it's not as big of an emergency, but I've got it in my pack ready to go. So. Bandage pack. This is going to be Band-Aids, a couple other things with that. Again, I usually, well, with packaging, when I get it, I'll make sure it's open. A lot of the bags will save. When we're talking chest seals like I was here, all of these packaging can be used as a chest seal, just with tape. Tape it over, works the same. But the thing with the chest seal, they're very sticky and they're going to stick on you. So fingertip bandages, just plain Band-Aids, just a few extras there if it's a need. I was talking about chest seals. This is another one from My Medic. They have a lot of really good kits if you go online, and so as you can see, a couple of different ones there. I've got a couple of chest seals. Nice thing with this one, it's quite a bit smaller than this one, but it just depends. Some have a vent, some do not have a vent. What that vent does is help with breathing when you're covering those wounds. These are SAM tourniquets, very close in between a cat tourniquet and a soft T. Typically what you're going to find on Amazon is cat tourniquets. They work great. What I would say is you're going to want a couple of them. And the reason for that is that sometimes one tourniquet is not enough, or in the event you got a couple people hurt, extra tourniquets are a good way to go. This one is a SAM tourniquet. The nice thing with this, you get it to a certain point, it's going to click, and it's basically stuck in there. Then you're going to take your windlass, tighten that down. The one thing I will say with a tourniquet is when they're applied, they hurt like crazy. They're probably worse than the actual injury that you have, but tourniquets are lifesavers. More than anything else, I would say tourniquets are going to help you out. Now, you have to realize that you're not going to be able to tourniquet everything, but in the event, stay above it, stay tight, high and tight. If it's in the leg, I would say you're better off to use two. Get one high and put it right next to each other with your windlass that are facing in the other direction. But always try to have a couple. I think I might only have one in here right now. But when you get these, when I've had these SAM tourniquets, they're covered in plastic. Take the plastic off, because in a pinch you're not going to have time to get that off there. You want that ready to go right away. Super skin, again, you can use this as almost a second skin for blisters or as a Band-Aid, whatever you might need there. Emergency blanket, something very simple. You can go out, I think Walmart still has them for probably under $1. Emergency blankets make a big difference, just keeps you heated up, keep you from going into shock. More pills, diazepam. Some of these I need to restock. I usually have Benadryl. This stuff is awesome. Moleskin, if you got blisters. They do make a moleskin with a gel. If you can get the gel and then put the moleskin on top of it, that can make it last a lot longer too. But these are individually cut out to help with blisters. Years ago, I had a pair of boots. I had to have moleskin all the time. Sterile gauze, just a few of those. Always good to have around. Again, you can pack wounds with that. Put it over the top. And just always remember, if you have gauze or you have a wound that's been packed, don't take that off, just pack over the top of it. Don't ever take anything off. Compact compressed gauze, again, just more packing material. So this is just a survival straw, essentially, for water. If I get into a pinch and need to be able to drink from water I may not trust. Do not want to get Giardia Don't want to get some of the bugs and nastiness that comes in water, so having just a simple survival straw, something you can drink water. I can't remember what this is rated for. Okay, right here, up to 300 gallons. So if I need, I can drink right from a stream, right from whatever water source that normally I probably would not. Can be key. Ferro rod for fire starter. This one is, was seeing these all over the internet and bought some of the Bushcraft by Bigfoot. They're basically a fire starter wax plug, and they work pretty awesome. I was pretty impressed with them. Used them a couple times, just kind of messing around with them, make sure they work for what I need in a ferro rod. Anytime I need to start a fire, I at least have something. A lighter is not always going to work, so having a ferro rod that you can start fire with works really good on those. Sterile solution, just sodium chloride for washing stuff out, not a bad thing to have. We got tweezers, just for pulling stuff out, helping with wound care. Nothing's worse than getting a splinter. That can kind of help with suture stuff too if need be. Forceps. Of course, if you're sewing anything, if you have an artery and somehow you can get in there, close that off. Femoral artery, if you hit that, you've got basically seconds to get that taken care of, depending on how bad it's hit. Just some extra shears. If I got to cut any clothing, anything like that. Again, from My Medic, they sell entire kits that will have everything in it that you need. This is just a whistle, something to make noise. I don't have a mirror in here, but it's definitely something to think about. It's a used up pack there. Allergy relief, I have bad springtime allergies, fall allergies, so I always like having just a bottle of those to get me through in a pinch, just to help me stay comfortable. One thing I don't have in here that I should is like a Tylenol and a Benadryl. Benadryl specifically for helping with allergy stuff. We had a deal in camp where my brother's ring had swelled up on his finger, and had we had some Benadryl, it probably would have helped. I think we ended up finding some eventually, but just a pair of rubber gloves. So that's everything in my first aid kit. Again, what I would do and say is tourniquets are a big one. Just make sure you're careful where you're buying them from. Again, this is a SAM tourniquet. Like those, I really like Softees, Cats, they all work really well. Ones I don't suggest going with is a rapid tourniquet, and the reason for that is it's basically a strap where in a pinch they work good, they don't take up any room, but if you have to use one and you're wrapping those things tight, the band is very thin to where it may cause some nerve damage. Where your other tourniquets, unless they're left on for very long extended periods, typically aren't going to cause you any damage. So for a while they were saying don't use tourniquets because you're going to lose the limb. It's not necessarily the case anymore, and it's always been suggested that if you can, put a tourniquet on. It's really not going to hurt. So. But yeah, that's kind of my first aid kit. It's in my pack every time I go, whether it's a day trip, if I'm staying multiple nights. That is always going to be in my backpack and is a must. Stuff that I want to have with me in the case of a big emergency. Again, blood loss I think is one of the big ones, the hemorrhaging, massive blood loss. A lot of this will help take care of some of that. So if you guys have questions on any first aid stuff, reach out. I can kind of get you pointed in the right direction. North American Tactical is a really good one. But I kind of pieced that together from My Medic and some other med kits that I've had over the years. And again, I just throw it in an orange VIAM G3 bag. Easy to see. I know exactly what it is, and it's always on top of my pack. When you open it up, it's one of the first things you're going to see, because I want it there in case of emergency to make sure we're all taken care of in camp, or if I'm by myself, I've got that with me. So even if I leave my pack down at the bottom of the tree, if I'm tree stand hunting, which is typically not going to happen, but for whatever reason, if I decide to, the first aid kit is getting pulled out and going up with me. So you just never know when that emergency is going to happen, and you're going to need that. But that's my IFAK or individual first aid kit. Again, any questions on any of those items that are in there? My medical, that's where I got a lot of it. Got one of their kits and kind of just pieced it out on my own. And then just some other stuff I've randomly come across and found that works. So one thing I probably would add in is leukotape. That stuff works awesome for a lot of various stuff, but we're seeing more and more guys adding first aid kits into their hunting packs, and for good reason. We've done that a lot of years without, and I've never had that where I've needed it necessarily, but the time you're going to need it and you don't have it, it's probably too late. So it can definitely save a life and put you at ease a little bit when you're out. Well guys, thanks again. You can check me out, Arrow Traditions, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, obviously here. Subscribe, like, hit the bell for notifications when I'm putting new videos out. And again, any questions, whether it's 6 a.m., any first aid gear, I have a contact page on my website at arrowtraditions.weebly.com. You can go to the contact page there, it'll send me an email, or hit me up on arrowtraditions@gmail.com, and I can get you squared away, hopefully give you some good advice on a first aid kit. I personally have applied tourniquets, and they work amazing. They do their job very well. But if you've never used one, I suggest either going to a class that's put on or getting one and trying it. But if I had to pick the items in here that are must-haves, it would be the tourniquet, the life straw for water, chest seal, and quick clot or a bunch of gauze. Those will get you a long ways just in of itself, but I have some extras there just to keep myself comfortable. So thanks again, guys. Like I said, any questions, shoot them out. I'll answer the best I can. If I can't find the answer, I will definitely get in touch with somebody that can get you the answer. So, thanks a lot.